All right, so a concept that I didn't really understand too well when I first started producing is layering. So if I was making like a chord stack or something, I would, usually get one like super saw and maybe even a sub, but usually just those two elements, and I just blast them both, just clip them up, get them as loud as possible. And it never really turned out great. So as kind of producing for a while, I just kind of got the grasp of how important layering is. So let's talk about it in the sense of chord stacks today. So we can kind of take a look at the layers that we got going here. So first off, we can listen. We got a sub right here. So you have a sub kind of fill out the low end. And one thing that is super important is you never want to use the low end that like a chord would give you, because it's usually super phasey and chords are normally a large sound. And if you think of like a supersize, it's usually widened, has reverb. You never want to use the low end with that because it's usually super muddy. So a dedicated sub is also always the best way to go with that. Then we can move on here. We have a little bit of the lead, fill in a little bit more space in the high end. Then we can go to the main chords, I believe, here. All right, so we got that. And we can take a listen to just these elements here, right? So it doesn't sound bad at all, and that's just 3 layers. So we can go even crazier and add differing elements here, kind of like a pluck like this, like an arp. And we also have another one here. So you can kind of see how these elements come together really nicely at the end. Nothing's overlapping each other. Everything really has their place nicely. Your sub, you have your chord stacks, you have your arps, and you have your leads. Everything's different and kind of fits in its own place. And the biggest thing I also recommend when trying to mix this, mix with the levels first, because don't be afraid to do like super hard cuts with volume. You can see the only thing that's at 0 dB is my sub, because I'm addicted to sub, but everything else, is cut down to 7 or -1, right? Really mix with the levels and then do some EQ if you want, or if you need to. Just don't do something just because you think you should. Do it with purpose, and yeah, now we can take a look at the final result, I guess, and kind of show you what we got for this chord stack here. Right, not too shabby, and yeah, that's a pretty good example just to how to nicely layer your stacks.